What was up next? Dreams of Beholders. Dreams of Beholders. That's got to be over here. It is. I dream of beholders. No, I don't. No, I don't. But what beholders dream come true. It's scary. Okay, so we're going to change this. This is going to go here. This is going to be Minsk DPS. So we'll leave Grom out of this one. Leave Grom out of this one. I dream of electric beholders. That would have been a good. That would have been a good name for a variant. But I still like layers of. I can see the way I look at this, Lydia. We're looking at this from different perspectives. As someone with a degree in psychology, I'm looking at this as behavior modification and training. I'm trying to modify their behavior and train them to put caps on things every time and make sure they go back and do all of those to get this kind of behavior ingrained. And then the next step is now that we've done this, now go in and make sure that these speed functions have a universal cap so you can never go have too much. I like to do one step at a time. Just because behaviorally people tend to forget. Like if they get the end goal, they don't necessarily go back and fix the other things that could have been fixed along the way, that needed to be fixed along the way. They're just like, well, I did the thing. Why do I have to worry about the rest of that? And human logic. So I also like that you can stop using feats on Diana. It's a nice concept. I don't like it. I think that one's very subjective. I don't like it, but I get it. I understand why I understand the positives to it, but I also understand the negatives to it. Like there's pros and cons. There's pros and cons. What I want is for them to figure out, like, this is an experiment for them. What I want is for them to decide how they want feats to interact with speed items, and then pick one way and then make them all work that way. And right now they don't. So yeah, I think that 50k, yeah, if it was a 12-5, if like one was a default and one was a 12-5, I think I'd be more okay with it. The fact that they're both gem cost feats bothers me a little bit. At a certain point, 50k is nothing, but at the point that you get that 50k, where 50k is nothing, you could have just used blacksmithing contracts. And I know some people are like, well, but now I can use both those feats and not put as many blacksmithing contracts in. Except that works against you because she has a mop ability. She mops, so you want her with lots of item levels. So in the end, if you have that kind of contract available, you just don't want to buy the 50k feat. You just want to dump the contracts on her. which somebody was trying to argue with me about. No, I don't want to use it. There's no point. The feat, you would just use the feats. The blacksmithing contracts are too valuable elsewhere. Well, no, they're valuable on her because she mops. So yeah, that one's going to be very subjective. I think people in the community are going to be on opposite sides, and ultimately, I just want to see any make a decision about how they're going to handle that based off this test. And then if they decide they don't like this method, I want them to change her. But if they decide they want that this is what they want to go with going forward, then I want them to change everybody else. I hate inconsistency. You know. I can only pick one. Would you rather have caps on all speed items or overall buff amounts displayed on champions? They're two vastly different things. Those are two vastly different things. So one is a quality of life thing, and one literally fixes problems. Is almost a bug fix. So I don't know that I can really. I don't know that you'd only ever have to pick one. So I'm not gonna pick one. So I'm not gonna pick one. Well, they can't just make both of her speed feats default feats because they're pretty high values. They'd have to lower the value. You'd have to take we'll be right back, this keep up feat, down to 20%. And then or you take the 80% one down to 20%, whatever. One of this 81 would go away and you'd have a 20 and a 40. So 20 would be default and the 40 would be a 12.5. You can't just give a default 40 and 80 away. That doesn't work. Again, we're using can't to mean shouldn't. I'm not literally saying you literally can't. But that's, yeah. You got to keep things in line with the rest of the game. Yeah, my goal right now is just to get all the mop champions to 1,000. I don't have those 9 jump blacksmithing contract numbers like the Swarm Lord over here. I don't like gold chest. No, gold chest. You could, by the time you got it, you might not need it, right? No, I would rather just be a 12.5 feet. I really do like the idea of speed champions coming with a default speed feat, though. I absolutely like that idea. Night, McTribble. Thanks for hanging out. $225. God, we're only in the 60s. It keeps slowing us down because of these range bosses. This one's it's just going to be slower. It's just the way it is. Oh no, the speed thing didn't click first. Oh no. We have plenty of click damage then. We're just going to have to deal with the fact that we're slowing down on bosses. So I don't know if we're going to, with this slowdown, I don't think we're going to be able to finish Brigandair's Comes to Call on stream. don't know if we need to finish it off there. We just got to set it up because all these are click-throughs, so... Are you in Ravenous? Are you in Baldur's, like Descent into Avernus? Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus? Because you ride war machines there. Yeah. Yeah, those all take longer because the enemies have to jump on top, which doesn't make any sense. Like, I feel like click damage should be able to kill them even when they're on the ground, but you shouldn't be able to. But melee needs to wait until they get on the car, and click and range should work. I wish they could have made that work, but that's probably a tech hurdle that I don't even want to know how hard it is to overcome, right? Die. Die, beholder zombie. Die. Wait, you're already dead. Die for good. Don't know how to miss something taking up 2/3 of the screen. Look, if you're not ready for it, you're just like, you're watching over here and you're not, oh, what? Don't worry. Later on, you in a different campaign, you fly on the back of a giant bird. So, but on that one, for some reason, they let you jump off and attack people and jump back. Don't know where. I don't know why they just. Oh, hey, we're gonna just. You know how he said you can't jump off these machines. You can jump off a bird midair. Sounds like another of those theoretically easy, practically difficult coding codes. Exactly. That's why I'm like, whenever people are like, it should be easy for them to just do this. I'm like, oh, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Even if you know, like I've had people in chats have been like, this is literally 3 lines of code. And I'm like, I'm a developer. This is 3 lines of code. Okay, then you're a developer. You know that even 1 line of code can break 100 others, right? So don't go saying it's easy. Just because you can write the 1 line of code real quickly doesn't mean you can implement it as easily. It's the old drinking game turned into a bug fixing game. 99, 99, how did, 99 player reported bugs on the list. 99 player reported bugs. Take one down, patch it around. 127 player reported bugs on the wall. The list, like, it's just, the number just goes, you fix one and you introduce all these others because coding. I haven't sung that in a while. I haven't sung that one in a while. I gotta get used to that one again. Yeah, and that's not even getting into tech debt. It's never as easy as people would think it would be. Never. Especially when you're dealing with it's one thing for you to write a mod for a game that works for you on your computer, but then to share that mod with other people, like even things like that can cause problems, because that's why they tell you when you're trying to track down a bug, first thing you do, uninstall all your mods, because the creator of that mod may have tested it on their account and they may think that it's clean code and it's very straightforward. But once it gets out in the wild and it's on all kinds of different systems with who knows how many other mods, and everything becomes vastly a different situation. It's just a completely different scenario at that point. There's always some part of old code with the comments. We don't think this does anything, but for some reason it breaks everything if it's commented out. Man, there was once a time when I built my own fan sites. I built one for uh, Warhammer Online: Wrath of Heroes, and I built one for Dawngate. And even then, I was primarily using uh, package software and then implementing it and then customizing it, right? So software to run either like I think the Warhammer one was just a forum software that had some stuff that I could build kind of landing pages and things with that weren't forums that presented more like web pages. But I had to really customize some stuff, and then the other was a combination of like uh, a kind of front landing page system with a forum back end, like a kind of a blog style, like well, a different kind of front end with a back end that work together. Um, and man, anytime, because you don't use those just out of the box. You always want to customize them to make them, fit your theme and stuff. And woof, anytime I would get in, well, I'm not using this stuff. I can just uninstall this portion of this, right? No, no, I may not be using that portion for what it's meant for, but some other part of those systems relied on one tiny little feature that was in that one and called for it regularly, and you didn't know until you uninstalled, and then everything broke. No. Nice, Ravenous. Night, Shevik. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, after all of that, like, you know, when I sat down and I was like, oh, Idle Champions, I'll do guides for this. I literally sat down. And I thought, do you want to make a website for this? And I was like, I don't even know, because both of those games ended before they ever got out of like their public betas, right? And I was like, I don't want to put that kind of effort into a game that's in early access, because when Idle Champions came out 6.5 years ago, it was in early access. I'm like, I don't want to do this again. So I was like, I'm just going to post them on Reddit, because the options were either I could post, because it came out on Steam, I can either post it on Steam or I could post it on Reddit. And at the time, I was working a contract for a video game studio who had released an indie fighting game, and they released it on Steam. And I was having to deal with Steam discussion groups and everything Steam. And I was like, oh, hell no. I'm not going anywhere near Steam unless except at work where I'm getting paid to be, because it's a hellscape. Comparatively. So I was like, no, I'll just post these on Reddit. And now here we are, 6.5 years later. Yeah, do you want to build a website? It doesn't have to be a website. It could be an app. No, there's the modern version of that. Oh no, Blackula, what did you try to do? Try to post a link. You should be back. Just don't try to post a link again, because then it's going to take you from a 10-second timeout to a 10-minute timeout. Links are just for VIPs. People with the little diamond. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't. anything that could be a link, it kind of throws. There's some things that it'll let you post sometimes, and I don't know why. But usually anything that looks like a website name, it's just gonna auto delete. And the only way Twitch apparently knows how to do this is to time people out, which deletes all of their past comments, which is the laziest. Talk about things that I'm like, it should be easy for them to fix this. I know it's not. But why did they build it this way in the first time? I don't know. You should just be able to remove a single comment. Ugh. Ugh. Oh yeah, Volocast. Look, we've all been there. We've all been new. There have all been times where we've been watching a stream and then we go up and we try to click distractions. Or worse, if somebody doesn't have familiars out and there's gold on the screen and you just kind of like your mouse goes over and does this, does a little circle swipe over here to try to pick them up, and then you're like, why isn't it picking up? I'm watching a stream. That's why. Welcome to Idle Champions. That's part of it. Yeah, you can just forget to put the period, and like you can put a period and forget the space before the next word in a sentence, and sometimes Twitch is going to be like, "That you can't do that." Smack. Yeah. So the downside to this thing, one of the restrictions, is this death kiss, and it's doing damage to us. You can see it pulsing over our heads, but we're never on this area long enough for it to matter. Diana's the only one really taking some chunky damage. It's because Orkira's healing everybody else. This was when they were experimenting around with like your stats, changing like what can happen with bosses and in certain scenarios, and it was never really super impactful. Like I never built my formation to try to be like, well, let's build a con 16 plus formation. Because it was never really worth it. It was never, the restriction was never bad enough that you had to do it. I don't know. Can you change the UI scale beyond the limits any longer? I have no idea. I don't mess around with the files, so ever. I just do whatever's in game. What I know is that like you can probably mess around with some of the UI stuff, but it's not going to scale the text at all. The text, yeah, the game wasn't created to scale text in a way that would allow it to scale text. It's my understanding. David's tried to explain this before. Ad break coming up, folks. I've been reading this. Yes, I've never read Dune before. We talked about this. I'm about that far through. I'm not very far in. Finished Aaron M. Evans' new book, Relics of Ruin. It was so good. You know, I have to sit here for a couple years and wait for the finale, the final book. I think it's a trilogy, right? I don't know. Maybe it's not. I will wait for more Aaron M. Evans books. They're good. Am I liking it so far? It's good so far. There's definitely some things where it's like, is there? I haven't even looked. I'm like, this kind of needs a glossary to explain what some of these terms are from this world that doesn't exist. But this book doesn't have that. Aaron M. Evans' book has that for people, though. See, I like books that have extra explanations and things. Yeah, I got a box set that has like 5 or 6 of them. I don't know. Um, my mom's multiple books in. She's enjoying it so far. I'm wondering. I'm like, I've heard it gets a little weird after the first couple books. She's like, well, I'm liking it so far. That's all that matters. Ugh, this level always kills our speed because you're just pulsing damage from the gas spores. Now it's going to take a while for Shandy to turn back on again. Oh, we got a beholder zombie to deal with as well. Great. I feel like Orkira should just have a thing where she does double damage and or removes 2 chunks from all zombies, like or all just let's say undead, because literally she's burning them with fire. She's literally burning them with fire. That should be a thing. I would like a little more elemental interactivity in this game. But I don't think it's made to check things like that. So I desperately want a campaign setting style book for Aaron's World. I mean, yeah. And who knows? Look, once she gets done writing them, maybe she'll have the time to write something like that if there was a fan base for it. I mean, but I mean, she did literally got her start with D&D books. Well, not start, but I mean, that's where I started was the Brimstone Angels books. So she understands TTRPGs. I could see it happening, but she's got to make these others. You got to make the books first. Finish the stories. I have no idea, Blackula. Have they even talked about another D&D movie? I mean, I feel like this one did well, but I don't know that. Honestly, for sure. Oh, the glitch kids are Kira's got him surprised she's not gotten Orc era. Have you told this to Lauren? You gotta say that to Lauren and see what happens. Because if Lauren loves it, then she'll figure out a way to make it happen. But, boy. 225. We got about 30 areas to go. Computer temperature status it's warmed up. It's continued to warm up. This is what I don't like. This is why I think that, it's not keeping. I feel like it's not keeping the coolant temperature cool enough consistently. But now I'm sitting with the E-cores just pretty consistently at 60, whereas we were in the low 50s earlier. And the other temps are mid 60s to 70 consistently, with some 73 to 78s. And the longer it's on, the warmer it gets. It's not cooling enough, right? Long term. Yeah, Loopy, that's really the way it feels, yeah. Which is why Larian's like, no, we're gonna go do something else. Fair. So come back. Some of my characters have had reworks. Yeah. To figure it out, I honestly can't say I've used Dadius or Korth enough to be able to tell what changed. So Daddy, hold on, let me bring it up. This was a little while back. During seasons. So Dadius, one of the ways Dadius changed is his buff no longer jumps gaps in a formation, which I don't understand why they took that away. They tried to explain it, and I did not accept their explanation. I rejected their explanation. He actually has chromatic orbs that he throws, acid, fire, and frost, and they can debuff things with one of his other abilities. What is it? Yes. Practice makes perfect, so you can get 3 separate stacks of debuffs, and they stack multiplicatively. You can have up to 5 debuffs of each time, so basically 5 stacks multiplicative stacking, 5 stacks multiplicative, 5 stacks multiplicative stacking, all of it working as separate debuffs, so multiplying against themselves, which is pretty nice. He's basically based on, he wants to be in intelligent formations, so int 14 or higher, or you can choose a spec choice that drops that down to int 12 or higher. But that's it. That's how he buffs. And you stack that based on, he gets stacks on that. That's multiplicatively stacking based off the number of people that qualify for that. So the number of people that either 12 plus int or 14 plus int. So obviously you want nice numbers of stacks there. It is a post stack multiplier there. Oh well. So he doesn't have any pre-stacks. He doesn't mop. Then he tracks the number of orbs, the types of orbs that he casts, and buffs multiplicatively based off 20 of that. So you can have 20 of each of those stacks for a buff on an area. It's just in the current area, which is the thing they're doing, is ramping in the current area. Then he's got a multiplicative spec. His first spec choice is multiplicative. You just choose the higher one. It's the same buff, but it's either magic base attack or no magic base attack. So it doesn't really matter. You'd like to have it nice and high, but you just want to pick the whatever has the higher stack. And then his last one, you can either empower his orbs to do more damage and do an AoE. That's his DPS spec. Or his better DPS spec. Or you can buff skill empowerment, or you can reduce the int requirement. So all that's kind of the thing. It's just he still wants to be around intelligent people. That's his ego coming into play. All right.